Welcome to our first look at the Dynamics 365 Contact Center. My name is Pat Peterson, and I'm joined today by Tori Sella.
All right, Tori, thanks for joining me today as we take a look at, a newer solution across the Microsoft 365 or Dynamics 365 stack. One of them coming out of Microsoft Ignite and really over the last couple of months has been focused in on the Dynamics Contact Center solution, which I know you have experience as part of the customer service, omni-channel, voice, digital components that's been around for a while. But, why don't you just quickly introduce yourself for anyone that may not know you, and then, give me some initial thoughts on the contact center solution as you see it today.
All right. Well, thanks, Pat. Hi, everyone who doesn't know me. Tori Sella, work for RSM. Been in the space for 20 plus years and contact center space for over 15. Really excited about all the new features and cool stuff and the ease of use and implementation that Microsoft provides regarding their contact center.
So Tori, out of the years that you have experience here, what is the one thing if you got asked on the street corner and somebody said, I hear you do contact centers, which they would never do, but I hear you do contact centers. What is one of the pieces that you'd say, this is why the Microsoft solution should be considered?
So funny you should ask that. That's how I explain people what I do is I make the menu that you hate. So I go in and then it turns into a whole conversation about why people hate menus. And then what I really love about the Microsoft Contact Center and their implementation is the ability to understand the sentiment of the customer. By that, I mean it can understand tone, intonation, how the client and or customer are talking to the bot, and how they're talking to the customer service representative. And what it will give you is a little smiley face. And if the conversation's going great, you'll get a happy face or, just a okay face. If it's turning bad, it turns into a very, very sad face. And I think that is like the best way to gauge because people don't read that stuff a lot. And then the fact that there's a little telling device for that help. And then you can also trigger on that to escalate to like a supervisor. And that I think is one of the best things that we have offering for that is just that.
And that's built in, right? That's built into the solution. So Correct. You're telling me that if I'm an unhappy customer and I may be, on the public web page of an organization and I'm complaining about the holiday season on the retail side, it's going to be able to alert what the agent on the other end that I'm unhappy and then maybe escalate to a supervisor to have someone else come in without an agent raising a flag or sending a message on the side, letting that supervisor know that they may need more help.
Absolutely. And that's the whole
Oh, that's nice.
That's what it's built for is just that exact process is to bypass that first initial line of contact to get to the person they need to talk to and then calm them down or solve their problem quicker than they wanted to. And then their sentiment will turn from sad to very happy pretty quickly because they're getting what they need handled immediately. Like it's really great for the end-to-end type interaction, if you will.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. And that's built in. That doesn't cost more. It's not an add-on SKU. It's not a surprise you owe more money piece. It just comes natively with the contact center, or I guess we have to include the omni-channel with customer service. We can't forget about that solution, but that's included, right, with that?
Yep. Yeah, it's including the base agent. Any base agent license gets that.
Nice. Across all channels?
Across all channels.
Wow, that's nice. Well, that's a really good one. And I think we obviously showed some examples of what that looks like, on the screen as Tori was talking through those pieces. As we think about the next piece and next item there, for one that I think, coming out of Ignite that was a hot topic overall was the word Copilot, and thinking that, Microsoft is really just putting a brand around Copilot, and it's not always just personal productivity, but some of it here. Where does Copilot show up with inside of the contact center experience?
So there's two main huge things I think that it shows up. The first big one is it will, if you program it, it will search a knowledge base, a SharePoint, 4
Hmm.
different external, internal websites. That's what comes with the out of the box. And it will search all that knowledge. And based on, like, we going back to the sentiment where it's listening to this conversation, not only is it listening for sentiment and tone, it's listening for keywords. And once it picks out said keyword on the right-hand side of the screen, as we can see, it will show you these words are picked out, and here's some knowledge base articles that are suggested to help this customer resolve their issue as quickly as possible. So you can just go ahead and click on it, read through it, send them the link to it. However it's set up, that's great. The second big, which I even like more because I am terrible at taking notes, is it will summarize your whole conversation based on the transcript. So if you need to
Yeah.
update a case, you get the whole conversation summary at the end of the conversation, which is also just built in, turned on by default. And you can either use that summary, use parts of the summary, or rewrite it in your own words, but you
Yeah.
have that option, which makes it easier of not having to go through the whole conversation and remember what was said.
So the return on investment for an organization that would adopt this would really be the fact that the wrap-up time, at least in that example you just shared, the wrap-up time, instead of it being what was traditional, maybe
A
a
minute.
couple minutes or
Yeah.
two, minute or two. And so, instead of it being that, it might just be now, what, 30 seconds to just double check to make sure, or even less.
Exactly. 30 seconds and they're back ready, available for another phone call to handle another interaction
Nice.
or a chat or whatever channel that they're on that day. Like it's for all
Yeah.
the channels. So we can easily use it for whatever interaction space we're in.
Yeah. One of them that I'm excited about on that knowledge-based perspective is the newer agent that's being announced, or was announced, I should say, around knowledge. And so being able to tie that in maybe with some of those channels that don't require or may not have a human agent in front of them right away, like SMS or a chatbot on a web page, to actually generate some responses. So I'm excited to see how some of that can actually come through as well. And maybe not quite a believer yet that that type of service and exceptional customer service can be. But again, back to what you said earlier about the sentiment analysis, that's a pretty key one too. So as we take a look at really the main features of it, what is, this is, I think, a little bit of a loaded question, but you have experience across a few, 5 different contact center platforms. So maybe not as loaded as somebody that's loyal to a specific brand, but what is the one feature, if you looked at it and somebody said, tell me the one thing that a supervisor would really love about Dynamics Contact Center, what would that be?
So let me preface this by saying every contact center has their own specialized reporting, and there's a learning curve with that. What I really love about Microsoft is they build in all the basic reportings most supervisors want to look at from day one. Like it's not a
Mm-hmm.
customized thing. It's just ready to go right there. And it can always be customized because it's based on Power BI.
Oh,
But
got it.
yeah, but the fact that it's just there in another pane of glass, all they have to do is click on is really great. All the other contact centers offer something very similar, but it's just learning how to set it up how you want to see it, right? And it can be more powerful than the Microsoft one without the Power BI integration, but the basic information is there right out of the box. And I really think that's 80% of most people want to see anyways.
Yeah. Well, Tori, I'm excited for Contact Center. I know from a Microsoft perspective, it's relatively newer technology, if you would, a standalone technology for it. So I'm excited, obviously, to work more with you as we take a look at implementing more and having conversations about this. So thank you again, Tori, for joining me on this conversation today, and have yourself a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for having me on.